I'm just still in awe. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how are you doing all this work specifically. Let's go to law school because I went to law school for a little bit. My son's a lawyer, and my son and I have had these discussions about how much reading there is in law, just those copious amounts of cases. And did you have someone read all of that, all your law courses to you? How did you do that?
It was a combination of several things. One is I relied heavily, both at Yale and in law school, on the organization Recording for the Blind. So
Recording for the blind. Okay.
I would obtain the books that I needed to have. I would always have to buy two copies of it because Recording for the Blind required two, one for the reader and one for the monitor. But I would obtain the books and send them to Recording for the Blind, and they would record textbooks. So that I had. I also had to rely on students, fellow students who volunteered to read for me. So if I had to do research in the library, that I couldn't have Recording for the Blind do. I had to have fellow students who were willing to do it. But I also had paid readers. The Department of Rehabilitation that assisted me through school set aside X number of dollars. Give an idea, back in back to the time when I was at Yale, I think it was $132 a month they gave me because I paid them $1.65 an hour. So I had those paid readers that read for me. That became, like, for some students, that was their work study job, is to read for me. But so I had a combination of paid readers, volunteer readers, and having books done by Recording for the Blind.
Now let's get to the bar exam.
The bar exam, I had a reader in the exam with me.
Okay.
I took the bar exam 3 times before I passed.
Sure.
And the first time I petitioned the committee of bar examiners, and I said, I told them I needed probably a separate place to take the exam, and I needed to have a reader in the room with me. I committed to having a person who did not have a legal background, so that they wouldn't have to be concerned with, are they helping me,
Sure.
giving me the answers.
Maintain the integrity. Yes.
Yes, yeah, that was important to me.
Okay.
And so I had, generally speaking, people who I went to church with would agree to be a reader for me and go to the bar exam. So they would read the question to me, and then I would type my answer. I had my manual typewriter there. So the bar they had to put me in a separate room because the typewriter would have been too much noise, disturbing other people. So that's how I did the bar exam. At one point, I did ask them to allow the exam to be brailled, and they refused to do that. They said they were not allowed to release the questions before the exam, which I thought was laughable because you have to release it to the printer.
Okay.
But but they would not allow it to be brailled in advance. I told them I could direct them to a certified Braille transcriber, and they could deal with them directly. But they said no to that. But they did agree to allowing me to have a person in the room with me.
I wonder if that would be legal today with the American Disabilities Act.
Yeah, I would think they would have to come up with something different. Yeah. See, then we're talking 70, 77 and 78. Yeah. And that was before the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Correct.
Well before. And in fact, once I left high school, I was on my own to make my own argument, to make my own accommodations. And generally speaking, I encountered good help. When I applied to Yale, Yale was reluctant to accept me because they hadn't had a blind undergraduate before.
Wait,
But
you were the first, the pioneer, the first? No, that can't be. Really?
I was the first blind undergraduate according to their admissions process. Yes, and they hesitated, but they said yes. So whatever accommodations I asked for, they were very. I did not have to fight or argue for anything until much later on. I had finished law school. Generally, the schools were accommodating. In fact, Yale, they saw all the material and equipment I had to have, the space that my books took, and the fact that using a Braille writer could be disturbing to other students. So they actually gave me an office to use as a place for me to study and do my work. The professors, they would ask me, how do you take the exam? And I would explain to them. They said, okay, that's acceptable to me.
Yeah.
So I would have my reader to be with me when I take the exam, and so for the professors, usually I told them it will take me more time, and they were, usually very generous, very accommodating. They said,
Yeah.
okay, well, here's the exam and bring it to me tomorrow. It's
Yes.
what they
Yes.
So things worked out quite well for me in terms of accommodations. As I said, I did not have to fight for anything. Usually, if I asked for it, it was given to me.
Yes. Now, and then going back to the law school exam, by the time you got to the third time, it was
Yeah,
better.
by the time for the bar exam,
Yes.
yeah, it's interesting because things were evolving. I'll tell you how things evolved quite interestingly. The first time I took the bar exam, I took it in the office of the committee of bar examiners. They moved someone out of their office because the bar exam is the 3-day exam.
It is. Yes.
So they moved someone out of the office, and I used their office for those 3 days. The second year that I took it, the second time that I took it, they had arranged with a hotel nearby the testing center, and I was given a room in a hotel for taking, not to sleep there. I didn't sleep there, but I was in a hotel room where I did the exam. By the time I took it the third time, and I should say that when I took it the first time, I was the only one they were giving accommodations to. By the time I took it the third time, there's like the whole floor of the hotel. I talked to the monitor, the bar exam monitor, who was pacing the floors. She said, oh, I don't know, we have 12, 13, 14 there. She kind of made a comment about it. She says, some of these people, they got a sprained thumb, so they need accommodation.
Okay, we're taking it too far.
Yeah.
But it still sounds like, though, Mr. LaMon, that you were the only one. You were unique. At Yale, you were the only blind student.
Since I was the first student that relied on Braille as my means of communication.